And Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier III Grimaldi and went to Monaco. The wives of Hollywood actors breathed a sigh of relief. Kelly easily won the hearts of men who were ready to leave their families and children for her. Oh, what a wedding it was! Fairy tale. The beautiful bride and groom swore eternal love and respect to each other. According to the scenario, they were supposed to live happily ever after. But something went wrong. In 1955, Grace Kelly was considered one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars. Alfred Hitchcock's favorite, the Golden Girl of MGM Studios, the embodiment of the American dream. In just 3 years, Grace has won numerous Golden Globes and even an Oscar for her starring role in The Village Girl. She had everything necessary for success: beauty, talent, and extreme diligence. She was the opposite of Marilyn Monroe and other bad Hollywood girls. Grace exuded the charm of a high society girl, smart and mature, sensual and charming, but inaccessible. Hitchcock called her the volcano under the snow. Others called her the Ice Queen. But when the flashes of reporters and spotlights on the set went out, Grace was relieved to get down from the pedestal. She wore her thick-lensed glasses, flat shoes, and modest, comfortable clothes. She washed off her makeup, leaving only lipstick on her face. She didn't talk much, but she was always very polite. She loved knitting and reading books. Just a little gray mouse, a good girl from a good home, where, however, she was never loved or appreciated. Grace was born in 1929 to John and Judy Kelly. Her father, a former bricklayer, made his fortune by founding a brick manufacturing company in Philadelphia with borrowed money. My mother had a sports career, and after getting married, she devoted herself entirely to taking care of the house and children. She had one goal: to raise 4 successful people. The woman believed in discipline and self-control. Judy Kelly made the children look and behave flawlessly. They were forbidden to cry. The former athlete considered the manifestation of feelings unacceptable. Even during the illness, the children had to be nice, polite, and smiling. Grace was never pampered. Moreover, the girl's parents always considered her the least valuable of their 4 children. The rest, brother and sisters, were feisty, strong, and went over the heads of strangers and relatives to achieve their goals. And Grace, I'm ashamed to say it, sickly from birth, secretive, and very shy. Mom and Dad did not hide their disappointment in this fragile, silent, bespectacled man. They openly favored Peggy's older sister and brother. However, this neglect on the part of the family had its advantages for Grace. The girl has always dreamed of becoming an actress. His parents believed that acting was little better than prostitution. But Grace? Her parents didn't care about her from a high tower. It won't do any good anyway. Let her become an actress. Let him go to New York and spend his time chasing his idiotic dream. The parents released their daughter without regret, but refused to pay for her studies. That didn't stop Grace. The girl was accepted into the prestigious American Academy of Dramatic Art and settled in a nice hotel in Manhattan. The parents' money was only enough for a month's stay. But Grace quickly found a modeling job and succeeded so much that in a few months her salary increased almost tenfold. There were more than enough funds for education, good housing, and entertainment. And yet Grace still didn't consider herself beautiful or talented. She was sure that only hard work would make her an actress. That is why the future Princess of Monaco worked twice as much as her classmates. She played in the theater, starred in commercials, took part in hundreds of auditions and auditions. Kelly has appeared regularly on television programs and shows on Broadway. The girl's diligence paid off. Her career was gradually gaining momentum, and the breakthrough came. Hollywood noticed and appreciated her. In 1952, she signed a 7-year contract with MGM Studios. Grace Kelly began acting in films with the stars of the highest echelon: Gary Cooper, Clark Gable, and Ava Gardner. She became Alfred Hitchcock's #1 actress. A dream come true. Grace Kelly is a world-famous, adored actress. But Grace's parents still didn't see anything special about their daughter. Even when she won the Oscar for Best Actress, ahead of Judy Garland and Audrey Hepburn, the father did not express pride in his child. He had always believed that Grace's achievements were solely related to men, whom the girl changed like gloves. Yes, the young actress was a success with men. She slept with everyone. With anyone she met who could be useful to her in some way, is how her former fiancé Don Richardson described the Duchess. MGM Studios had to make a lot of effort to hide all her adventures from the public. Grace's image had to remain within the framework of a cool blonde with impeccable manners. Rainier III Grimaldi, Prince of Monaco, has been looking hard for a wife for several months, or rather, the one who will give birth to the heir to the throne. I must say that the rich bachelor did not want to part with his free life at all. But this was a matter of national importance. If Rainier died without leaving an heir, Monaco would become part of France again. Aristotle Onassis suggested that Rainier look for a fabulous duchess among the actresses whose fame would attract crowds of tourists to the principality and contribute to the development of the fading economy of Monaco. Marilyn Monroe was too provocative for this role, but the more restrained Grace Kelly, a cool blonde with impeccable manners, was quite suitable. The casting was successful. The novel developed very quickly fairy tales, and Hollywood films do not tolerate long stories. Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III Grimaldi met in May 1955 during the Cannes Film Festival. 2 meetings and several months of correspondence were enough for Grace Kelly to be chosen as princess. A few months later, the prince attended a dinner at Mr. and Mrs. Kelly's. Grace's parents were insanely happy that their daughter got such a match. True, the prince was short, rather plump, and rarely smiled, and Grace's mother confused Monaco with Morocco, but the evening passed without problems. Just before the engagement, the court doctor checked whether Grace was healthy and would be able to give birth to the heir to the throne. And soon a fabulous wedding took place. Millions of tourists came to the tiny state to watch the wedding celebration of the famous actress and the prince. But that's where Grace Kelly's fairy tale ended and reality began. For the sake of marriage, Grace will give up her career as an actress at the peak of her fame. She will become a beloved princess for her subjects, give birth to her husband 2 beautiful daughters, and the coveted heir to the throne. Finally, he will receive approval and recognition of success from his parents, but he will lose his real self forever. In the first years of marriage, Grace realized that Rainier likes to manage, control, and dominate. There was no question of returning to an acting career. Monaco turned out to be too small and too boring for her. She was terribly disappointed by the position of the Duchess. She was supposed to always look beautiful and smile happily, but no one was interested in her own opinion. Grace felt lonely, very homesick, and homesick for her past life. She was annoyed by the army of servants and the French language that had to be learned. She considered her 200-room castle to be a golden prison. However, Rainier was even more mistaken about Grace than she was about him. He was misled by the image of a girl from the upper class. He saw a polite smile, modest clothes, and manners, as if from a Catholic school for wealthy girls. Meanwhile, Grace Kelly, whom he considered the best candidate for the role of Mother of the Nation, was not an innocent prude, but simply mastered the art of imitating an impeccable image, as her mother taught her. She really was a volcano under the ice, as the visionary Hitchcock described her. The prince cheated on her right during the honeymoon, but Kelly didn't stay in debt either. The actress became depressed and treated her sadness with alcohol, sweets, and lovers. At one point, Grace even thought about getting a divorce and returning to acting, but she abandoned this idea for the sake of the children. On September 13, 1982, the Princess of Monaco was involved in a tragic car accident. Grace Kelly was driving her car, and her 17-year-old daughter, Stephanie, was sitting in the passenger seat. The Duchess lost control and flew 35 meters into the abyss. Grace fell into a coma. She had a lot of injuries, but most importantly, irreversible brain damage. But Stephanie miraculously escaped. Despite multiple fractures and concussion, she survived and recovered. When Prince Rainier found out that even if his wife survived, she would go into a vegetative state, he decided to authorize the shutdown of devices that support her artificial life. Today, people still continue to argue about the causes of the terrible accident, recalling all the new details of that day and giving all the new arguments in favor of one or another conspiracy theory. However, at the heart of these rumors is not the desire to speculate, but pain and sadness for the untimely departed princess, who was so loved by the subjects of Monaco.